The California desert is legendary for its blistering heat, yet the atmospheric pressure at Indian Wells has soared far beyond a typical summer spike. Conditions have surged toward a nuclear boiling point as the prestigious BNP Paribas Open, celebrated as the world's fifth Grand Slam, grapples with an unprecedented crisis never before documented in professional sports history. Dispatch reports are flooding in with claims that the entirety of the Coachella Valley has effectively been placed under a state of national siege. This is not a conventional incursion led by a line of soldiers. Instead, it is a massive assembly of 2 million devoted Filipinos who have converged upon California to rally behind their reigning tennis queen, Alex Eala. The magnitude of this cultural takeover is so immense that local law enforcement has officially raised the security alert to level yellow, spanning from the San Francisco Bay Area down to the urban sprawl of Los Angeles. The Filipino diaspora, which stands as the largest of its kind in the United States, has risen in unison. They have organized themselves with the kind of military-grade precision that has plunged tournament officials into a state of absolute and unmitigated panic. The underlying reality is that the stadium has surpassed maximum capacity, becoming completely saturated with the vibrant blue, red, and white of the Philippine flag. Eyewitnesses stationed at the venue are reporting a profound seismic shift in the local atmosphere, noting that this massive wave of supporters did not merely arrive, they effectively assumed control of the regional infrastructure. Thousands of supporters are currently marching in unison toward the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, hoisting flags so enormous they are clearly visible to news helicopters patrolling the skies above. This transcends simple fan loyalty and has transformed into a full-scale national movement. The sense of shock resonating through the Women's Tennis Association Executive Board is undeniable and deeply felt. They have witnessed the devotion of Federer and Serena fans, but they have never encountered a national collective of 2 million supporters capable of paralyzing the primary thoroughfares of Southern California just to catch a glimpse of a 20-year-old prodigy. The phenomenon known as Eala Mania has officially matured into what many are calling a sovereign takeover. Western media outlets are scrambling to articulate the sheer nuclear energy vibrating from the grandstands. Nevertheless, the most startling element of this narrative is not the sheer volume of people, but the stunned reaction of living legends like Rafael Nadal. The legendary mentor, who refined Alex's signature hybrid strike at his namesake academy, is said to be caught in a whirlwind of absolute disbelief and genuine concern. Sources close to the Nadal camp have disclosed that Rafa appeared visibly rattled upon his arrival at the practice courts earlier today. His unease was not rooted in his own performance, but rather in the raw and overwhelming intensity of the 2 million fans who have effectively transformed Indian Wells into a Manila-style arena. Nadal reportedly confessed to his inner circle that he has never witnessed a spectacle of this magnitude throughout his 20-year career. He feels a sense of dread, not for his own well-being, but for the staggering psychological burden this vast assembly is placing on young Alex. He understands that once an entire nation occupies a stadium, the competition ceases to be about tennis and becomes a battle for national dignity. As the minutes count down toward Alex's high-stakes debut, the total breakdown of existing security protocols is becoming an imminent threat. The standard attendance projections of 500,000 visitors for the entire two-week event were completely shattered in just a single day. A critical and unseen factor is the report that this loyal legion of Filipino fans is establishing permanent base camps in the parking facilities, vowing to stay until Alex secures the championship trophy. This cultural siege has effectively rebranded Indian Wells as a Little Philippines, leaving the Women's Tennis Association establishment enraged as they lose the reins of their own flagship tournament. A massive explosion of national pride has arrived, and the quiet traditionalism of the tennis world is on a collision course with the irresistible momentum of Filipino power. Moving into the second segment of this unfolding drama, we will uncover the classified security briefing conducted this morning to address the surge of 2 million people and disclose the sharp, 10-word message Alex sent to her followers to maintain order. The stadium grounds are currently under a state of siege, and it is clear that the revolution has officially commenced. This national occupation of Indian Wells has formally transitioned from a public street demonstration into the very core of the tournament's operational heart. On this specific Friday, March 6, 2026, the environment within the tennis garden is being characterized by insiders as nothing short of combustible. With an estimated legion of 2 million Filipinos saturating the Coachella Valley and every neighboring district, the situation has reached a tipping point. The organizers of the BNP Paribas Open were forced into a desperate 4 a.m. emergency security meeting that has sent massive shockwaves through the entire Women's Tennis Association. The hidden reality is that local law enforcement and state troopers have reportedly filed formal requests for federal military assistance to manage this human surge. Never in the recorded history of the United States has a single tennis professional triggered a logistical traffic lockdown of this immense magnitude. The security crisis has become so acute that the tournament director reportedly weighed the option of holding Alex Eala's match behind closed doors to maintain safety. However, the prevailing fear was that such a move might ignite a full-scale uprising from the millions of supporters waiting anxiously outside the gates. The Women's Tennis Association establishment is absolutely fuming as their elite, tranquil tournament has been transformed into a nationalistic powder keg. While the local authorities were desperately scrambling to find a solution, a legendary figure was observing the chaos from a distance. Rafael Nadal was reportedly witnessing the raw, savage reality of this cultural takeover from the vantage point of his private balcony. The King of Clay, a man who has competed before the most intense crowds on the planet, is said to be genuinely terrified by the physical vibration of the stadium. This is not merely noise. It is the collective, rhythmic pulse of a nation that has spent decades waiting for a superstar of Alex's caliber. Insiders have leaked that Nadal's own coaching staff had to physically shield Alex during her morning warm-up session because the density of the fans was so extreme. In fact, reports suggest the oxygen levels in the immediate practice area felt noticeably thin due to the sheer volume of the crowd. This goes far beyond traditional fan support. It represents a total eclipse of the historical boundaries of the sport of tennis. Rafael is reportedly deeply concerned that if the massive crowd does not find a way to settle down, the consequences could be dire for the young star. He fears that technical officials might begin issuing behavioral penalties to Alex herself, effectively sabotaging her professional career due to the unbridled passion of her fans. The definitive turning point occurred just 2 hours ago as the chaos outside the stadium gates reached a nuclear level of intensity. Alex herself reportedly took the initiative and stepped out onto a balcony that overlooked the main entrance plaza. The army of 2 million supporters transitioned from a deafening, thunderous roar to a state of absolute pin-drop silence in a matter of seconds. It was a stunning display of collective discipline that reportedly left veteran American security agents completely speechless and in awe. Without the aid of a microphone, she gazed out at the vast sea of blue, red, and white, and delivered a sharp 10-word command that has now gone viral across the globe. She reportedly projected her voice and shouted, "For our flag, show them the strength of our silence." This specific strategic command was nothing short of a masterstroke of leadership. She was not requesting their silence for the benefit of the Women's Tennis Association. She was demanding it for the sake of the honor of the Philippines. The hidden factor revealed in this moment is the incredible psychological maturity of Alex Eala. She grasped the reality that if her loyal army failed to adhere to the strict tennis code of conduct, she would be the one forced to pay the ultimate price. Despite this brief moment of calm, a revolt within the player locker rooms is gaining significant nuclear momentum. An information blackout regarding the actual physical condition of Alex is currently fueling a deep sense of mystery. The question remains whether she is truly prepared for the nuclear intensity of this national takeover. Moving into the third segment of this unfolding drama, we will explore a secret counter-strategy. There are reports that the Women's Tennis Association is conspiring to artificially throttle ticket access for Filipino fans. We also uncover the heart-wrenching footage of a grandmother who journeyed 10,000 miles just to touch the stadium exterior. It is becoming increasingly clear that the siege is far from its conclusion. In fact, the situation is merely entering its most volatile and dangerous phase yet. The national occupation of Indian Wells reached a critical point of no return on this Friday, March 6, 2026, as the legion of 2 million people continues to occupy every available square inch of the Coachella Valley. The Women's Tennis Association establishment has reportedly initiated a covert countermove that has ignited nuclear-level outrage. Leakage from the tournament's internal technology department suggests that officials have attempted to manipulate ticket availability. In a frantic effort to restore what they consider crowd balance, they have taken desperate measures. They reportedly attempted to block ticket purchases originating from internet addresses and financial accounts linked to the Philippines. This also targeted the broader Filipino-American community in an effort to curb the momentum. Tournament officials are fuming because they are desperate to prevent the sea of blue, red, and white from erasing the event's elite tradition. However, the underlying truth is that the phenomenon of Eala Mania is far too sophisticated for such tactics. Supporters are reportedly utilizing digital workarounds and vast community networks to circumvent these technical restrictions. This defiance proves that it is impossible to construct a digital firewall around the heart of a united nation. While this digital conflict was escalating, a poignant scene unfolded at gate number 7 of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. An 84-year-old grandmother, who had reportedly traveled over 10,000 miles from a remote village in Leyte, was discovered. She stood at the entrance gates without a ticket, yet she sought no special treatment. She did not ask for a premium seat in a high-end hospitality suite. Nor did she request a personal photograph with the young superstar. She informed the visibly stunned security personnel that her only wish was to touch the wall of the stadium. She simply wanted to be near the ground where the daughter of the Philippines was destined to make history. This massive explosion of emotion was captured on film and distributed instantly, causing a profound seismic shift in global public opinion. Even the most experienced and hardened American security agents were reportedly seen wiping tears from their eyes. This is the raw and undeniable reality of the massive Filipino support base. It is not merely a gathering of young enthusiasts. It is a profound expression of generational hope. Meanwhile, inside the stadium walls, the nuclear tension is surging toward a total breaking point. Several European competitors are reportedly in a state of absolute panic, claiming that the intense, silent stare of the Filipino Legion constitutes a form of psychological and passive intimidation. They are increasingly paralyzed by the realization that even when the fans remain quiet, their collective gaze carries a lethal weight. The shocking reality within the tennis community is that the traditional establishment is rapidly losing sovereignty over its own hallowed courts. The closure of exclusive VIP hospitality zones to accommodate more general admission supporters serves as a definitive sign that the Eala revolution is winning the economic war. In the fourth segment of this unfolding saga, we are prepared to reveal a major and classified security breach. We will detail how a dedicated group of supporters reportedly managed to smuggle a massive 50-foot Philippine flag to the highest pinnacle of Stadium 1. We will also examine the nuclear-level statement released by the governor of California in a desperate attempt to soothe the escalating locker room panic. The cultural siege is intensifying, and the final confrontation is now only a matter of hours away. This national occupation of Indian Wells witnessed its most savage display of defiance on this Friday, March 6, 2026. As the organized army of 2 million Filipinos completely surrounded the stadium perimeter, a secret security breach occurred that has left the BNP Paribas Open officials in a state of nuclear embarrassment. Despite the implementation of 3 sophisticated layers of high-tech security and a fleet of drones patrolling the venue, the impossible happened. A group of supporters reportedly managed to transport a massive 50-foot Philippine flag to the absolute highest point of Stadium 1. When the afternoon sun reached the peak of the stadium, the blue, red, and white colors were unfurled, casting a symbolic shadow across the entire playing surface. The sense of shock permeating the Women's Tennis Association establishment was nothing short of insane. It was a profound visual takeover that demonstrated no amount of ticket throttling or digital barriers could suppress the resilient Filipino spirit. The massive crowd gathered outside responded with a controlled, synchronized roar. This sound was so deep and resonant that it was reportedly detected by sensitive earthquake sensors located in Palm Springs. The level of panic surged to such an extent that the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, felt compelled to issue an emergency statement just moments ago. With the locker room revolt reaching a critical breaking point and several top 10 players reportedly refusing to exit their private suites due to security concerns, the governor had to act. He intervened personally to prevent a total and catastrophic collapse of the entire tournament structure. In his high-stakes statement, Newsom reportedly declared that California is currently witnessing a historic cultural phenomenon rather than a security threat. He made it clear that the state would not use force to remove supporters who are gathered in a peaceful and respectful manner. This sudden backtracking by the state government has left Women's Tennis Association officials fuming, as they had initially hoped to have the area cleared. The underlying truth is that the governor recognizes the immense economic power of 2 million Filipinos is simply too significant to ignore. He has effectively surrendered the symbolic keys of the city to the supporters of Alex Eala, leaving traditional tennis purists in a state of profound heartbreak. For a legend like Rafael Nadal, the unfolding situation has transitioned from a state of disbelief into one of tactical dread. Nadal was reportedly observed on a secret practice court, a location that had to be moved twice today just to avoid the massive assembly of fans. He is reportedly terrified of the pressure being placed on Alex's signature hybrid strike and her overall performance. He understands that when a professional athlete becomes the primary symbol of a nation's sovereignty, the pressure to succeed becomes nuclear. Insiders have leaked that Rafael is privately fuming over the massive flag incident, fearing that it has transformed a sporting event into a literal war zone. He reportedly informed the coaching staff of Alex that she is only 20 years old and should be treated as an athlete, not a military general. He simply wants to let her play tennis without the weight of an entire nation on her shoulders. However, the savage reality is that Alex is no longer merely a student of the game. She has effectively become the commander-in-chief of the most significant fan movement in the history of sports. A hidden factor within this national siege is the whisper of a locker room sabotage currently circulating. Reports suggest that several rival camps are in a state of panic, attempting to argue that the acoustic vibrations from the fans outside constitute illegal interference. They are desperately pushing for the match to be relocated to an alternative venue or postponed indefinitely. The resulting shockwaves are truly seismic, leaving the Women's Tennis Association board in a state of complete deadlock. If they choose to move the match, they risk facing the collective wrath of 2 million passionate people. If they remain, they must admit that the Filipino army has successfully occupied the landscape of American sports. In the fifth and final segment of this journey, we are prepared to deliver the ultimate verdict. We will provide a nuclear prediction for the exact moment Alex walks beneath that 50-foot flag. We will also disclose the shocking gesture she is reportedly planning for the coin toss that will silence the establishment forever. The cultural siege has reached its absolute peak. The Battle of California is about to commence. This national occupation of Indian Wells reached its nuclear climax on this Friday, March 6, 2026. As the shadow of the 50-foot Philippine flag draped over Stadium 1, the atmosphere reached a level of seismic intensity never before witnessed in the United States. The legion of 2 million fans did not merely fill the valley, they dismantled the traditional concept of what a tennis tournament is supposed to be. As Alex Eala finally emerged from the tunnel to make her round of 64 debut, the silence she had commanded earlier was replaced by a heart-stopping, physical vibration. The hidden truth is that Women's Tennis Association officials were in a state of panic within the control room. They watched in disbelief as the decibel meters reached dangerous, unprecedented levels. Yet, the true shock occurred at the center of the court during the official coin toss. It was a moment that has already established itself as the most viral clip in the history of professional sports. Instead of the typical focused stare of a competitor, Alex reportedly performed a stunning gesture that left the entire establishment in a state of total silence. She walked toward the net, but instead of focusing on her opponent, she turned toward the four corners of the stadium. She reportedly performed a traditional mano po gesture toward the massive crowd. This was a sign of profound respect for the elders and the nation that had traveled 10,000 miles to support her. This brilliant masterstroke of humility effectively transformed a national siege into a massive national celebration. The locker room revolt that we observed earlier was silenced in an instant. No athlete on the planet, Not even a top 10 seed can withstand the acoustic fire of 2 million hearts beating for one girl, as California officially becomes a territorial extension of the Philippines. This final verdict serves as a nuclear warning to the Women's Tennis Association that the era of Alex Eala has arrived and is completely unstoppable. The total economic impact of this cultural takeover is currently estimated at over $200 million for the state of California, solidifying Alex as the most influential asset in modern sports. The establishment that attempted to muffle the fans and restrict ticket access has been decisively defeated by the overwhelming force of Filipino power. As the first serve was struck, the siege officially ended, and the glorious reign of Queen Alex began, proving she is not just a player but a historical movement. The history has been written in blue, red, and white, revealing the hidden truth that the world now belongs to those who play for the honor of a nation rather than just themselves.